Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. It's Pushkar this side, and today we are talking about prompts. Because most people who are using Fuzen are not failing at building apps, they're failing at writing prompts. So I want to show you 7 simple rules that you can follow so that your prompt will work every single time. It's an important topic, so stay till the end. We'll cover all the basic ground. Let's get started. So the biggest mistake that I see is sometimes people write prompts that are too long. I've seen people write prompts that are sometimes 10 pages long. And what happens is the important information about your app gets lost somewhere in those 10 pages. So AI will build something, but it won't be exactly what you wanted. So what you should be doing is, instead of asking for the final version of your app from your first prompt, you should remember that you don't have to write a single prompt and get it right the first time. You can write multiple prompts. So use your first prompt for only laying the foundations of your app. You need a very solid foundation so you can build on top of it. And what is your foundation? So the foundation for your app is the basic functionality which lies at the heart of your app. So your first prompt should always cover the basic foundation. It should be used for laying a strong foundation, and then you can build on top of that using your subsequent prompts. So remember this route. Your first prompt is only used for laying the basic foundation. So if we look at an example of a bad prompt, it will look something like this, where we are asking for too many features just in the first version. We shouldn't be doing that. Instead, what should be asking is a solid foundation. So this is an example of a good prompt where we are asking for a solid foundation. We are instructing AI to build certain data structures, certain pages. This lays a very strong foundation, and then we can ask for other integrations in the subsequent prompts. So the second most common mistake that I see is the exact opposite of the first one. Sometimes people write single line prompts and expect magic. So for example, I've seen a user write this prompt: build the best social media app for me. So what do you expect AI to do with this? This is a very vague requirement. So when you ask for the best social media app, what do you expect? What features should be there? What functionalities, what workflows, integration should be there? If you don't specify that, how do you expect AI to just magically understand what the best social media app means? It means different things for different people. How do you expect AI to understand what it means for you? So whatever you want AI to build, first you have to figure out what do you want AI to build, and then you have to specify that exactly in your prompt. So an example of a bad prompt would be something like create an ERP for my company. So this is not a requirement. ERP is a broad software category. When you need an ERP software, you need to know what modules or what workflows you need within your ERP app, and you have to specify within that prompt. So a better example for an ERP prompt would be something that looks like this, where you're specifying exactly what modules you want to manage or what entities you want to manage and what kind of functionality you need. So this is an example of a better app. So the next thing that you should remember is your first prompt should always cover certain architectural aspects of your app. And I don't mean that you should write a long technical architectural document and give it to AI. I don't mean that at all. What I mean is, in your first prompt, you should cover certain things like data structure, like what data entities should be managed within your app. What should be the relationships between those different data entities? What are the core pages that you need to manage those entities? For example, a bad prompt would be to just ask AI to build an inventory management app. A better prompt should ask AI to build an inventory management app which will manage products, suppliers, purchase orders. So basically, you're specifying what data entities should be managed within your app and what should be the relationships between them. And in addition, you can also specify what are the core pages which you will need to manage these data entities. So I've seen a lot of people use ChatGPT for writing their prompts, and I'm not against that. It's fine to use ChatGPT for writing your prompts, but you have to do it the right way. What I've seen most commonly is people are too vague with their requests to ChatGPT. For example, if you ask ChatGPT to just write a prompt for building an HR management software, it will give you a bloated prompt. It will give you a prompt that is 10 pages long. And then you end up with the first mistake. You take that 10 pages prompt, you copy and paste that into Fuzen, and Fuzen builds something which is entirely different from you had initially envisioned. Because you asked ChatGPT with a vague request just to build a prompt for HR management software. A better way would be to ask ChatGPT to do the research for what features could be included within an HR management software, and then use points from that research to build your own prompt, which is cleaner, which is not bloated, and which you understand, which matches with your vision. So use ChatGPT wisely, use it for research, not for writing bloated prompts. So when you're asking Fuzen to build your app, you don't need to specify the backend database or the backend framework or the hosting infrastructure. Fuzen takes care of that automatically. So what we need from you is just the business logic or the business requirements. So your first prompt should only talk about what features you need, what functionalities you need, how your app should work, only that. Fuzen is automatically going to take care of the backend database, the framework, the hosting infrastructure. It will all happen automatically. So an example of a bad prompt over here would be to ask for scalable microservices architecture with optimized indexing. It's irrelevant to what Fuzen is doing. Instead, you should just ask for the functionalities and the features that you need within your app. Fuzen will decide on the best possible backend architecture and the database and the hosting, and all of that will be done for you automatically. You don't need to worry about that. So the next thing that you need to remember is you don't need to tell AI how to build an app. You just need to tell what needs to be built, and then AI will figure out the best possible way forward. So for example, when you're building an app, you don't need to specify what should be the foreign keys between two data tables and how they should be mapped. Instead, you just specify the business requirements, and AI will figure out how the data mapping can be done. You don't need to over-engineer or micromanage the prompt. You just specify what needs to be built. AI will figure out the best possible way forward. So the last but very important point is that sometimes things will go sideways. Sometimes AI will misunderstand what you were trying to say. Sometimes it will build something that didn't exactly match your expectations. So in that case, what I'll recommend is you go back to your first prompt and you check where things went wrong. Are there any gaps in your prompt that you can plug? Are there any improvements that you can make so AI understands more clearly what you were trying to say? And make those improvements and go back to AI and try building another version of your app. Because it's very important to get your first foundation exactly right. If your foundation is not strong, whatever you build on top of it won't be very sustainable, won't be very strong. So I'll always recommend that instead of continuing with the same app, you go back to your prompt, you make changes, and you iterate till you're confident of the first foundational structure. I hope that makes sense. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope this was informational for you. If you have any more questions about how you should be writing your prompts, let me know in the comments. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.